Welcome to chapter 13 of our walk through the book of Proverbs. We are going to begin in verse 8 today. So let's begin. Proverbs 13, verse 8. The ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor heareth not rebuke. Now that last phrase, heareth not rebuke, has been translated other ways, such as receives no threats. It has also been translated as won't get threatened or will not be threatened. So we're going to deal with this verse today. Now, ransom. We all know what the word ransom is. Ransom is when a person, and sometimes even a thing, has been kidnapped or taken, and the criminals demand a payment of some kind for the person or thing to be returned safely to those that want it returned. So think for a moment. Who is in the most danger for the crime of being kidnapped and held for ransom? Why, those that have things of value, or those that are the thing of value. They become a greater target. The more valuable things they have, or the more things they have that are of value, that becomes a greater and greater threat. So these things of value could be money, it could even be position or power, because those in leadership of government or military, or owners and leaders of large successful businesses and corporations, heirs to great fortunes, are all persons that are high risk for this particular crime. They either possess things of value or they are the thing of value. So now let's compare that to those that are the poor and insignificant. They do not have in the same problem in the same way, at least. The insignificant are not of any value to be noticed by a criminal, and the poor simply do not possess things of value to be stolen. So there's a quote that says, it kind of sums up the issue. It says, even 100 men cannot rob one pauper. If you don't have it, it can't be taken. So the exact same principle is found in natural warfare. Who is on the most wanted lists of the enemy? Why, it's the soldiers, the ones that are causing them the most damage, whether it's the warriors themselves, or whether it's the brilliant strategist, or even the dynamic, inspiring leaders that are leading the cause against them. That is who gets put on the most wanted lists. So this is a real world application of this principle that we see here. So that is described in Proverbs 13:8. So let's take the same principle and see how it relates to spiritual issues. The ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor hears not rebuke, or will receive no threats, will not be threatened. So the key to understanding this verse's spiritual applications is to make sure that we know what spiritual riches are, and what it means to be spiritually wealthy versus to be spiritually poor. Matthew 6:19 through 21 is a good source text for that, so let's look at it. Matthew 6:19 through 21 says the following: Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Now, I do not believe that the treasure laid up in heaven is the righteousness of Christ that we put on that takes us out of hell and into heaven. That's a foundation. That's wonderful. 1 Corinthians 3:11 through 14 says this, "For other foundation can no man lay than what is laid, which is Jesus Christ." That's the righteousness that we put on. That's what takes us out of hell and into heaven. "Now, if any man build upon this foundation," laying up for ourselves treasure in heaven, "gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. And if any man's work abide, which he has built upon, he will receive a reward." So the treasure that he was speaking of was the good works that we do, not the foundation. Paul instructs Timothy to charge those under his ministry to do good, that they be rich in good works. Do good and be rich in good works. I believe that is 1 Timothy 6:18. So if it's possible to be rich in good works, it's also possible to be poor in good works. Proverbs 11:4 says the following, "Riches," speaking of earthly riches, "profit not in the day of wrath, of their judgment day, but righteousness delivers from death." Proverbs 10:2 says, "Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death." So what does it mean then? What does it mean if you're being spiritually attacked and harassed? Now, we're not talking about a foolish action done outside of God's will that brought foreseeable consequences. We're talking about harassment from the enemy on your mind, your emotions, your finances, your spirit. Just ponder, in light of what we're talking about here, what does that mean? 2 points about it. Number one, we can count to 2, 1 and 2. 2 points about it. Number one, be encouraged. Yes, I'm saying if you're being attacked, be encouraged. Because that means you're rich. It's written that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So if you are under attack, you must have something worth stealing. You have treasure of value. You're a high value target. So why be encouraged? You're a wealthy heir. Galatians 4:7 says, "For we are no more a servant, but we are sons. And if a son, then an heir of God through Christ." Romans 8:17 says, "And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, joint heirs of Christ." We're high value targets. Why be encouraged? You're a mighty warrior. In addition to being the heir, in addition to being wealthy, you are a mighty warrior. There's a meme that I saw a while back, and it said, it is very silly, but it is very true. It was very true. It was a meme, and it said, "If video games have taught me anything, it's that if you're not encountering any enemies, you must be going the wrong way." You know, that preaches. That preaches. That really preaches. 1 Peter 4:12 says, "Do not think it strange concerning the trials, fiery trials, which are to try you, as though it's some strange thing." So if you're encountering enemies, be encouraged. You're going the right way. You're a warrior. You're that strategist. You're a faithful soldier. You're an heir to the kingdom. And you're destroying the kingdom of darkness. So number one was to be encouraged. You're rich. You're the heir. And you're that mighty warrior. And number two is a challenge. Be challenged today. Hebrews 10:24 says this, "We are to provoke one another to good works." So here I go. Obeying scripture right here, folks. Obeying Scripture. So this is not like a New Year's resolution type of idea. But rather, it's a challenge to a lifelong pursuit. And here's the challenge. Put yourself as high as possible on the enemy's most wanted list. Do him damage. Be a high value target. Get the attention of hell. Be known to the enemy. I mean, Acts 19:15 tells the story of the sons of Sceva. I mean, that's the proof text that the devil, the enemy, knows who his enemies are. All right? So we want to be a high-value target. And that is possible because we know the enemy does know who his enemies are. So the primary way we can do damage to the kingdom of darkness is to build the kingdom of light, to be rich in good works. And how do you do that? It's whatever your hand finds to do. Do it with your whole heart as unto God. Build the kingdom of light. So one, be encouraged. If you feel like you're being pounced on, you're going the right way. And be challenged. Be a high value target. Be enemy number one. Proverbs 13:8 says this: the ransom of a man's life are his riches, but the poor hears not rebuke. Proverbs 10:2 says, the treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death. Lord, help us to apply this to our lives. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.